that number 2 player per 247 Sports in the tight end class is Ethan Davis. Collins Hill High School in Sewanee, Georgia, 6'5", 221 pounds, currently committed to Tennessee. I feel like every week it's just USC, Tennessee, Georgia, and Ohio State are all the same guys that we keep bringing up. But Ethan Davis, he was being highly recruited to play basketball at the Division I level. I saw Kennesaw State on there. I saw Georgia. A lot of actually very recognizable programs that were seeking Davis to come play for their program. Now, talking about him, however, as a tight end, that box out ability, that basketball player prowess pops immediately. The first couple plays that I watched on his highlights, I was thinking, oh, no, this makes so much sense that he's a Division I basketball recruit. He's out there playing like one. We talked about that with Branch last week, and here we are talking about it with an actual tight end. Ryan, kicking to you first, what really stood out to you about Davis as a tight end prospect?
Well, it's funny, Joe. I actually watched his highlight tape before I did like background research on him, and then I saw that he has the basketball background, and it made complete sense. Like one of the first things I wrote on my notes was that he's a very springy athlete, right? Like that's kind of, and he's used similarly to how Deuce is, right? Like he's not playing wildcat quarterback or doing that type of stuff at times, but he's used kind of all over the formation and basically used as a big wide receiver at 6'5", 221. But those are the biggest things for me, as you kind of hit on, right? So I'm going to reiterate it. He is a big, springy athlete that can win above the rim and has explosiveness to win easily in the air. I don't think that he's quite as at least straight line fast as Deuce is, but I think it's good all around athleticism, and he is just a incredible leaper at the position. So he's another mismatch weapon with his size, length, and his explosiveness to win in the air, in my opinion.
You know, for Davis, just strong, catches the football well. You know, I think the biggest thing that you see it right away, right, with that basketball comparison is you see him catch the football and drop step like he's in the paint, you know, down below, like below the rim, you know, and that drop step is something that is very difficult to teach and is extremely effective too, where you saw a lot of those short intermediate passes that he caught, how he's able to get vertical up the field extremely fast in one step. And that's something that is, again, it's very high level. It's taught on the NFL level. The first time I ever heard it was when I was in an NFL meeting, and that's something where just for him, that is going to be a huge asset to him going forward, is that just football awareness, that spatial awareness, that obviously he learned from playing basketball and from playing football. I did see a few plays too where he's a solid blocker. Obviously, there's not a ton of it out there, but he is a solid blocker. He's not like scared to get dirty out there and block on the edge. Not sure, how that will equate to blocking defensive ends in the SEC and all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, he does look like he has good technique in keeping his hands inside and running his feet and being aggressive, so that's exciting. And, again, I think just the main thing is just football awareness, and then going to a program that, clearly is doing a lot of really good things on the offensive side of the football and really just doing a great job of recruiting a lot of good football players, and him teamed up with Nico at quarterback, I think is pretty exciting.
Joe, and his frame is fantastic too, man. Like it's a really clean 6'5", 220 something pound frame. His body kind of reminds me a little bit of Eric Gilbert when he was coming out of high school. Right. And they kind of win in similar ways, which is kind of interesting too, just kind of look. But I mean, this is a kid that 250 plus easy is going to be able to carry. And I think that you're going to see a big boost in power, because I think it's already kind of maturing as we kind of see, right? Like we're working mostly off a junior film. And I thought that there was a lot of power and there was a lot of physicality to his game. It's just continuing to develop, put weight on, put mass on, but he's got a really nice frame where I think that he's going to be 250, 255 pretty easily.
One of the things, and I know that anyone who's a former basketball player or current basketball player is going to hate this take, but it's kind of a loose understanding or a presumption in the football universe that if you are a basketball player, you might not be as tough as somebody who's not, that's more focused on football. And I got to give Davis a ton of credit. Like he shows off like a lot of that toughness. And you talked about, Matt, there were a few blocking plays. The next two guys we're going to talk to, there was a lot more blocking from them. And we're going to be able to talk a little bit more on that blocking, because these first two guys are very much primarily receivers, but he did show that blocking. But the other thing too, very hard to take down. There were a number of plays, and despite him not being like massive, we're not talking about like a 250-pound kid. We're talking about maybe the thinnest of those who we're discussing here. who is really a tough runner, really downhill tough runner. So I look at that now at 220 pounds, him able to do that against high schoolers. When he gets up to 240, 250, he's going to be even more difficult to tackle because he's got the power, he's got the toughness, he's got the aggressiveness and the willingness to fight for extra yards. That's something that just really, really popped to me when I'm seeing him after the catch.
Yeah, I think both him and Robinson show the best breaking tackle ability out of all of the tight ends in this group, of just being able to run through arm tackles, being able to spin off defenders. And that is something that, it is difficult to teach, at any level. And for them to naturally kind of be able to manipulate their body and to have really good strength in contact and to stay balanced is extremely impressive. And, Ryan and you, Joe, are hitting the same points. I think we're just, yeah, like I think the best days of football are still ahead of him for sure. And that's really what you're looking for when you're recruiting these guys, right? You don't want a finished product, right? And I think for him, he has a lot of good football in his future.